Let's be honest here. Unless Sonia Sotomayor becomes unhinged by the polite questions from Republicans on the Judiciary Committee, she will soon sit on the bench of the U.S. Supreme Court.
Unless you have a complete meltdown, you're going to get confirmed.
Obviously a bright and accomplished judge, she is nonetheless someone who has also been well coached for her confirmation hearings. This has become frustratingly all too familiar. All recent Supreme Court nominees, at least in recent memory, have been immersed in White House advisors and handlers, and nothing's changed this time around. And with her handlers whispering in her ear, Sotomayor will most likely avoid any deep mud holes that could, and in a more perfect world, might sidetrack her nomination. This then is a transparent shell game that takes place every time a Supreme Court seat becomes vacant, and it is this charade that insults our intelligence. The game has become a cat and mouse affair, one where tactics of avoidance and legalistic mumbo-jumbo have been designed to simply get the nominee confirmed
by any means necessary.
Handlers now coach nominees to within an inch of their lives, instructing them on how to avoid being pinned down on where they stand on critical constitutional issues or legal philosophy. The aim is to avoid at all costs answering committee members' questions directly, or for that matter, honestly. This, by the way, isn't a partisan issue. It has been the case no matter if the nomination originates from a Democrat or Republican president. Exactly when was the last time a Supreme Court nominee said exactly what was on his or her mind? Well, many would date that occurrence as having taken place back in 1987. Now, that was the year that Robert Bork, a former Solicitor General, acting Attorney General, and judge for the United States Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit, was nominated by President Ronald Reagan. Opposed to Bork's originalist judicial philosophy, Democrats vowed to fight the nomination, and fight it they did with relentless, vicious, and highly political attack. Bork's views were guided by the framers' original understanding of the Constitution. He told his interrogators that the court's task was to adjudicate and not legislate from the bench. Liberals preferred just the opposite. Ted Kennedy, never known for subtlety, said at the time,
Robert Bork's America is a land in which women would be forced into back alley abortions, blacks would sit at segregated lunch counters, rogue police could break down citizens' doors in midnight raids, and school children could not be taught about evolution. Writers and artists would be censured at the whim of government.
Now, this was a nice piece of creative writing, but it was fiction, not even remotely true of Bork's legal or political beliefs. In the view of many, Robert Bork may have been the most qualified person in modern times to be nominated to the Supreme Court bench. The rejection of Judge Bork's 1997 nomination was so overtly political that it spawned the verb borked, defined loosely as getting rejected in an unseemingly unfair manner. Lacking Bork's integrity, Sotomayor seems intent on avoiding such a fate, even if she has to remake herself in the process. In the early goings of the confirmation proceedings, Sotomayor, without even blinking, looked at the committee members and told them, "My record shows that at no point or time have I ever permitted my personal views or sympathies to influence the outcome of a case." When confronted, though, with her silly comments from a speech in 2001, which suggested that a wise Latina judge would usually reach a better conclusion than a white judge, the nominee deftly backed away, saying her racialist statement was a rhetorical flourish that fell flat. Okay, I get it, just a clumsy slip of the tongue. Stretching credulity, Sotomayor told the committee that her comments about a wise Latina was made to inspire Latino law students. So let me get this straight. Her method of inspiration was not to urge them to be disciplined in their pursuit of the law or to study hard, but was to use a hackneyed appeal to ethnic group identity. However, only scoundrels resort to such false, backward, and racially opportunistic methods to inspire. And we'll see if even one member of the Judiciary Committee has the cojones to ask about her public complaint that we, Latinos, have only 10 out of 147 active circuit court judges and 30 out of 587 active district court judges. Sotomayor said those numbers are grossly below our proportion of the population. Well said. That is, if one believes in ethnic nationalism and racial set-asides for Supreme Court vacancies. So the game goes on. Liberal senators have attempted to present Sotomayor as nearly the equivalent of conservatives on the current court. Chuck Schumer said that she is the very picture of judicial modesty. Dick Durbin called her moderate, restrained, and neutral. Meanwhile, Pat Leahy depicted her record as showing a deep respect for judicial precedent. Despite all the smoke and mirrors employed here, this is a decidedly liberal judge, one steeped in the Latino nationalism of the Puerto Rican Legal Defense Fund, one who evokes racial exceptionalism and supports racial preferences. It is this nominee who now seeks to remake herself before our very eyes. The choreographed judicial circus that is the confirmation proceedings is most nausea-inducing when one remembers that the same Democratic senators now posturing in regard to Sotomayor's compelling background of hardship are the very same political clowns that rallied to deny Miguel Estrada a Court of Appeals judgeship. So what's the deal? Estrada has a compelling background. He is a Honduran who came to America at the age of 17, speaking only limited English. He too was raised by a single mother and persevered to excel at Harvard Law School, where he edited the Harvard Law Review. Nonetheless, it was liberal senators like Chuck Schumer and Pat Leahy who kicked Miguel Estrada's nomination into the weeds. Why? Well, minorities apparently aren't supposed to have a conservative political ideology. In the estimation of all too many liberals, he wasn't the right kind of Latino, just as liberals were opposed to Clarence Thomas's nomination for the court because he wasn't an authentic black man, well, at least in their eyes.
This is a circus. It's a national disgrace. It is a high-tech lynching for uppity blacks.
So the farce will continue, and Sotomayor will speed through the confirmation process like hot coffee through a healthy bladder. What's the lesson to be learned here? Elections have consequences.
Court of Appeals is where policy is made. And I know this is on tape, and I should never say that because we don't make law, I know. Okay, I know.